Summer's here, and Nordstrom has everything you need for your best dress season ever. From beach days and weddings to weekend getaways and your everyday wardrobe. Discover stylish options under $100 from tons of your favorite brands like Mango, Skims, Princess Polly, and Madewell. It's easy too with free shipping and free returns, in-store order pickup, and more. Shop today in stores, online at Nordstrom.com, or download the Nordstrom app.
Out here, there's no one way of doing things. No unwritten rules, and no shortage of adventure. Because out here, the only requirement is having fun. Bank of America invites kids 6 to 18 to golf with us. For a limited time, sign them up for a free 1-year membership, giving them access to discounted tee times at thousands of courses. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/golf with us. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Restrictions apply. See BofA.com/golf with us for complete details. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation.
This is Optimal Health Daily. Tips for buying clean and healthy food by Laure Carter of LaureCarter.com. And I'm Dr. Neil. Hey there, welcome back to Optimal Health Daily. This is the podcast where I act as your very own personal narrator and read to you from some of the most popular health and fitness blogs online. But with that, let's keep this intro nice and short and get right to it as we optimize your life. Tips for buying clean and healthy food by Laure Carter of LaureCarter.com. Making the healthiest choice possible. Recently, one of my clients shared with me her frustration with the organic label. How can you make the healthiest choice possible with food? How can you weed the fads from the truth? Here are my 5 tips for choosing what foods you buy as part of a clean and healthy eating lifestyle. A few sobering statistics. The Environmental Working Group, an independent research group, found 287 chemicals in the blood of 10 Americans. Out of these 287 chemicals, they linked 133 to cancer in animal tests and 151 to birth defects. They found that 153 can alter the hormonal system, 185 are associated with infertility and reproductive problems, 130 affect the immune system, and 157 are toxic to the nervous system. 10 Americans whose exposure to these chemicals came not from the air they breathe, the water they drink, or the food they eat. The 10 Americans they tested were newborns. Industrial pollution begins in the womb. The Environmental Working Group spearheaded the 2004 study in collaboration with Commonweal. Their research showed that these 287 chemicals found in the umbilical cord blood of newborn babies included industrial chemicals, pesticides, consumer product ingredients, and wastes from burning coal, gasoline, and garbage. Since we're already exposed to chemicals, does buying organic food really matter? Yes, it does. An article from Environmental Health Perspectives cited scientists at the University of Washington that tested the urine of children eating a conventional diet and children eating predominantly organic produce to see if there was any difference in the children's pesticide levels. Some children on a conventional diet had pesticide byproducts in their urine that showed an intake of pesticides above the negligible risk level recommended by the Environmental Protection Agency's guidelines. The children who ate organic food had a median level of pesticide byproducts, only 1/6 that of the children eating conventionally farmed foods. By order of priority, here's how I choose the foods I purchase based on most to least clean in terms of toxin load. 1. Organic, local, and seasonal foods. Ayurveda, the system of alternative medicine I practice, always recommends that most of the foods we consume be whole, nutrient-rich, local, and seasonal. That's because our biological systems are in sync with the biological rhythms of nature. Our gut bacteria change along with the seasons, allowing us to digest properly the foods that grow during that season. There's a belief in all ancient medicinal traditions that the foods and herbs that grow in our environment are healing to us. 2. Non-organic, local, and seasonal foods. If I can't find organic, local, and seasonal foods, I'd still choose the foods that are local and seasonal. I encourage everyone to either belong to a CSA, a community-supported agriculture, or to go to your local farmer's market. The farmers who take part in a community-supported agriculture or a farmer's market rarely grow their produce in huge quantities. As a result, they use significantly fewer chemicals, and the chemicals they do use are usually the same ones recommended for organic farming. Finally, I highly encourage people to choose organic meat and dairy foods because of the high levels of hormones and antibiotics in conventionally raised animals. And I recommend choosing wild-caught fish and preferably small fish like sardines, which are rich in omega-3s. 3. Non-GMO or non-genetically modified organisms. Let's be realistic. Unless you live in a pristine area, 100% organic foods don't exist. Not because of a failure by the growers, but because of nature. Wind and rain don't discriminate where they fall, and our air and water are so polluted that these chemicals affect organic crops as well. However, it's still important to choose organic whenever you can. If I can't find organic versions of the healthy foods I love, especially certain grains and legumes, then I look for a non-GMO version. Today, nearly 88% of all corn planted in the U.S. is genetically modified. This means that many processed products have genetically modified corn in it, like breakfast cereals, corn flour products such as chips and tortillas, soups and condiments. Using genetically modified crops hasn't been around long enough to clearly be linked to serious health issues. That's why many people are still on the fence about its dangers. But let's think about this. Our body has eaten the same foods for hundreds of thousands of years. It knows how to digest these foods. How can we not question its ability to digest and absorb foods that have been genetically modified? 4. Environmental Working Group's Dirty Dozen List. Eating organic foods can still be very expensive. Environmental Working Group has created a list of foods that you should absolutely buy organic. You can get the list for free from their website. They even have a free app where you can scan the barcode of produce items and you'll get its score. You can buy the foods that are not on the list or non-organic. When none of these things are available, then I highly recommend that you peel the skins off all your fresh produce. Contrary to popular belief, merely washing produce with soap or other cleansing products is usually not enough. And 5, avoid non-organic whole grains. Here's my final tip that surprises most people whenever I point it out. Buying whole grains is always a good idea because it's more nutritious. However, you should only buy organic whole grains. Here's why. Whole grain means the outer layer, the bran, is kept on. This multi-layered outer skin of the grain contains important antioxidants, B vitamins, and fiber, but it's also the part that's covered with pesticides and insecticides in conventional farming. Eating a slice of non-organic whole grain bread is like eating a mouthful of chemicals. Do exercise your power of choice. I understand that sometimes making the best food choices can feel bothersome. However, I encourage you to exercise your freedom of choice. We are what we choose to eat. According to the National Institutes of Health, quote, healthy eating can lower your risk for heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and other health conditions. End quote. Your food choices not only affect you, but also your family, your community, and the whole planet. You just listened to the post titled, Tips for Buying Clean and Healthy Food by Laure Carter of LaureCarter.com, and I'll be right back with my commentary.
Oikos presents 15 Seconds of Strength.
Here we go. Steve's got a trunk full of groceries and no one to help him.
Oh, that's tough, Jim. Looks like a 5-trip load at least.
He grabs the first bag, the second. Bob, it looks like he's trying to do it all one trip. He shimmies the door open, steps over the dog, and he stumbles.
Oh, right into the kitchen without missing a beat. Jim, now that's a man who eats his protein-packed Oikos.
With 15 grams of complete protein in each cup, Oikos 000 can help build strength for every day. Oikos, stronger makes everything better.
Looking for a snack that's both delicious and packs a protein punch? Then get ready for Wonderful Pistachios. You've got to hear this. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1-ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. That means Wonderful Pistachios is a good source of protein with zero guilt. Plus, pistachios are known for their protein power, fiber, and better-for-you unsaturated fats, for a combination that may help keep you feeling fuller longer. And on top of all of that, Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein, providing all 9 essential amino acids. Whether you love the satisfying crack of the in-shell varieties or the pure convenience of no shells, maybe their new unsalted no shells that holds the salt but not the flavor, there's a pick for you. They're perfect for that protein pick-me-up or just a tasty treat. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Dr. Neal here for my commentary. I want to go back to Laure's third suggestion, minimizing our intake of genetically modified foods. And I know that I'm treading on thin ice here because this is such a controversial topic. So I'm going to put all politics aside and let's talk about what it actually is and a bit of its history. We humans have grown and bred plants and animals for thousands of years. We bred both to have properties that helped us survive. For example, avocados only look the way they do today because of how we've bred them over thousands of years. The avocado from thousands of years ago had a very large pit and very little actual fruit. Now, with new technologies, we can artificially change the DNA of plants and animals. This can be a really good thing because it may allow us to develop foods that can survive droughts and are resistant to insects. This is important, so we don't have any major problems with our food supply. But again, because of new technologies, the DNA of plants and animals can be changed in ways that would not have happened naturally through breeding or mating. Because of these changes to the plant and animal DNA, the proteins in them start to change too. And when it comes to, say, food allergies, it's usually the proteins in the food that triggers the allergy within our bodies. So if genetically modified foods are basically modified because of their proteins, then it is possible this could be contributing to an increase in food allergies. Now, this is just one theory. We simply don't know what to make of genetically modified foods at this time. And in situations like these, whenever in doubt, I always look to see what other countries are doing. I always look to see, for example, what Europe as a continent is doing. And as of now, the European Union has very strict policies on the sale of genetically modified organisms. They don't allow the sale of anything that has not received prior approval. So how do companies receive approval to sell a genetically modified food? Well, they go through a very thorough, quote, risk assessment process first. So to me, that's telling us that, yeah, there doesn't seem to be a lot of research about the health effects of these genetically modified foods. So what should we do? So at this point, I would agree with today's author, Laure, and say it might be a good idea to limit our intake of genetically modified foods for now until we know more about how they affect our bodies. All right, that'll do it for today. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you so much for listening. And of course, I'll be back here again tomorrow, so I'll definitely see you there where your optimal life awaits.